when I grow up. I do not want to be like Bailey and Curly. No way. I have higher standards than that.
They make me laugh. At the same time, scare the shit out of me. What will they say next?
Welcome to the roller coaster world of Bailey and Curly. Unfiltered. While this voice may be artificial, the unfiltered musings from our hosts certainly are not. Make yourself comfortable, grab a drink, and let's get unfiltered. Here's your hosts, Bailey and Curly.
Hey man, they tell me you're pretty good. Don't you know you're in our neighborhood? So you're pretty fast on them there feet. You just best watch out when you dance down our street. You hear?
There's gonna be a lockdown. There's gonna be a lockdown. And what a better way to start the podcast. How are you, Matt Bailey? You once again are in lockdown. When it's a COVID-free session tonight, you are in lockdown. Sydney's in lockdown. South Australia's in lockdown. And Queensland are still wearing fucking masks. So how are you, buddy?
Mate, I'm doing the best I can with the cards I'm dealt.
Oh, absolutely.
How are you doing, bud?
Hey, yeah, can't complain. Things are good. I'm busy. A couple of new exciting things that we can talk about. And then I want to have a bit of a chat to you about your music because, you know, we've talked to George, we've talked to Sean, we've talked to Tave. But, I've asked you questions every now and again, but today we might just do the Matt fucking Bailey, that Matt Bailey guy, and have a bit of a chat around about you. And then I want to just share a little bit of some of the music. So the opening lines from the podcast today was from a band called the Johnnies, and they're a Sydney band. And Spencer, unfortunately, the lead singer has now passed away. But an absolutely amazing band to see live when they were in their peak in the 80s. So, and that was off their, that was actually a little bit of a hit. I've forgotten the name of the album nowadays, but they've, so I want to play one of their songs a little bit later on, and then I want to play one of the 80s anthems. But on the screen, Bailey, you should be able to see this thing called Spotify Green Room.
Oh, I can.
Yeah, this is a new thing from Spotify, and you may have heard about Clubhouse, and Clubhouse is about audio rooms where people get together and they talk and they talk about whatever. And Spotify have pretty much got their own now. It's called Green Room, and that may be an option for us on our
That looks good.
For our podcast platform, because seeing that we're still ranking in the top 200 news podcasts in South Africa, well done. Thank you all three of you. So, but that could be something that we may find interesting that we talk about. So from a news perspective, what's happening down your way, mate?
I surprised the family last week, which is really, really nice.
Yeah.
I did one at a time. I surprised my sister first, then dad, then mum. And so that was quite nice, and spent a couple of days with them.
Yeah.
And just getting ready for the release of the remix next week.
Mate, that's coming up, isn't it? It's pretty
next
close.
Friday. Yeah, next Friday. So,
and you've been sharing it all around the world for people to pre-save on Spotify. And
I have, yeah. And, let the family listen, and they love it. And, yeah, it was good. It was good to let them listen before it came out.
Yeah. And almost as big a news as Matt Bailey releasing a new song is the fact that we had two of the richest people in the world go up in space during the week. We had Richard Branson.
Oh, was Richard one of them, was he? I just seen the Jeff one last night.
Yeah, so we had Elon Musk. Oh, no, Jeff Bezos.
From
That's
Amazon.
right. Jeff
Yeah,
Bezos from Amazon. He went 700 and something kilometer round trip, all done in 10 minutes, apparently. And then we had Richard up in space the week before. So in the space race amongst the multi-billionaires, Richard won that race, and then Jeff followed up. But
I actually seen memes before I actually knew what was going on, because
yeah,
I've got a mate in Vegas who works for Spirit Airlines, and he
Yeah.
showed me that was like a Spirit plane with like a rocket launcher underneath, and then Nando's shared a similar thing with like a bottle of Perry sauce being the
Yeah.
rocket ship, and I was like, what's going on? What have I missed? So I agree with space, and what was it called? The blue something, wasn't it?
yeah. I saw. I've got no idea what they were called, but I saw a really great meme. You know, in the Austin Powers movies, there's the mountain where Austin Powers' arch nemesis or whatever sends people up into goes up in his rocket, and there's a mountain side with the $1 million sort of scenario, and
Dr.
then
Evil,
yeah, that's it, Dr. Evil, and
Yeah.
so there's a meme where he's sending his rocket up, and then there's a meme next to it with Bezos's rocket. So I thought that was pretty cute, and that was pretty clever.
That's funny.
So it's, you know, what's next? I mean, is there going to be, do you think there's going to be like commercial flights that will be able to, like at the moment, if you want to jump on one, I think the price tag's about 700,000. You just have that in your bank account, wouldn't you, Bailey?
Yeah, of course. That's why I'm coming from you live from my kitchen.
Yeah, but it's really interesting. Who knows where this goes to? So it is just going to be very, very interesting to see how much space travel can still happen and occur in the remainder of our lifetimes. You know, I mean, there was an expectation that we'd be doing this at some particular stage, and you know, the richest people in the world have indicated that they can do it. So.
Surprised Elon Musk is involved somehow.
He's got his own rockets,
Oh, yeah.
from what I can understand. But yeah, Bezos and Branson were the ones that really wanted to. Could you imagine what would have happened if one of the rockets had just like shit itself or exploded? So pretty gutsy move to be
Rockets,
in your first rocket.
Yeah, they fascinate. I watched the video of what Jeff Bezos was doing. They were throwing Skittles.
Yeah.
Someone threw a Skittle at someone open. Because it was like an 18-year-old went up there as well, I think.
Yeah, youngest person ever in space, from what they're saying. But did you know the story there?
No, I don't.
The guy that actually paid for that seat, you know, there was an auction for it, ultimately couldn't go, so he gave it to this young 18-year-old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Oda have the money. Oda have the money just to think, yeah, I don't go, so I'll send someone else.
Yeah.
He did. Yeah, so it's been an interesting week. It's been an interesting week, and of course we're going through what we're going through here in Australia. The Olympics are just, I think the Olympics opening ceremonies tonight, or tomorrow night, one of those two. So
is it happening in Japan?
Yeah, in Tokyo, and of course Brisbane are now the official host of the 2032 Olympics. So.
Yeah.
Interesting. Tave Bragg sent me a text today saying, "Is there space at your place in 2032?" And I said, "Of course there is. Let's hope we're all out of lockdown by then." So
I've seen something funny last night. It said, "I'm in a bad place at the moment. Not mentally. I just live in Australia."
Look. Yeah, it's who knows what's happening. But as I said, we won't talk about.
You know what?
Yeah, we won't talk about the C word. So what I'm going to do, this is my very first introduction to the Johnnies, and funnily enough, it was at I was on a long drive with mates to Sydney, of all things, and we'd stopped to get a road servo feed, and there was a MTV jukebox sort of thing playing, and this song came on, and I just thought this song's pretty cool. It's called Buzzsaw Baby, and I won't play it all.
Boy, you can never call this boy a friend. For all your advertising, honey, you ain't selling anything. Oh, will you tell me that I was true? I'm telling you that's tough. You can come back for more, but I had enough. Said buzz, 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 my Buzzsaw Baby really cut me up.
And of course, just a chick walking around the video clip with a chainsaw. I mean, how appropriate is that? But
That's cool.
I just love some of the language in it, you know. For all your advertising, honey, you ain't selling anything. It's just such a classic little song.
You say love comes from the heart, but Cupid's arrow hit you in the head. The problem was right from the start, you just had the wrong idea instead.
Yes, cool.
Yeah, that's Tamworth.
You treat me like a fool, I treat you like a bug. I just watch you falling down, and baby, I'm standing up. Say buzz, 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 my Buzzsaw Baby really cut me up.
Just love the outfits, just love everything that they stood for. They were just this really, they were like a real crossover.
What year were they?
This is 84, this song.
Boy, you can never call this boy your friend. Well, for all your advertising,
That's Chad Morgan.
funny you ain't selling anything. Well, not to me, yeah. You tell me that I'm true, I tell you that's tough. I've been watching you grovel and I'll be standing up. You said buzz, 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 my Buzzsaw Baby really cut me up. Yeah, I said buzz, 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 my Buzzsaw Baby really cut me up. Yeah, I said buzz, 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 my Buzzsaw Baby really cut me up.
Oh, they were simpler days, weren't they? They were simpler days.
Oh, no, I was yet born.
So for everyone listening, that was the Johnnies. Go check them out. I'm sure they're on Spotify. They're around the place. So Apple Music, I'm sure that you will be able to work them out. So, yeah, just really, really interesting. And that was obviously about a unrequited love where someone was obviously in love with someone and it wasn't reciprocated. So now, before we get into the Matt Bailey interview, I'm just going to play this one because, you know, I just, you know, I feel pretty fucking lucky, to be honest, Bailey, that I've gone through the decades that I've lived through and, you know, born in the 60s, don't remember much about the 60s, so, but the 70s were pretty cool. There was a bit of really cool music. You know, we had the Skyhooks, we had Hush, we had, Queen was starting out late 70s. Of course, you still got the Beatles going through. The 80s to me were just such a great decade. I was really into independent music, so really just popping into grungy little nightclubs and to watch.
Can I ask what got you into music? Because you're really into it as I am.
Yeah.
You get people that they like music, but then there's people that like you who really love independent artists. And
I just think it's the energy that it brings, mate. It's just the energy, and music can say so many things that I can't say, and I think that was always the thing. Music and the lyrics and some of the master songwriters out there were able to capture things that I could never capture, or even get into a position to capture. So I think that's just really positive. So 80s to me was a really great decade for me in terms of music. And there was a song out there called, there's a good protest song is always going to be a good protest song. So we, I shared with you last week the song, a couple of episodes ago about Tom McDonald and, Snowflakes.
Snowflake.
And, that's a pretty cool little protest song for 2021. But Killing Joke put out a song called the 80s. And it's still just one of the songs that just gets me moving. So, and anyone who was in any of the nightclubs that I went to, whenever this song came on, they just jam-packed the dance floor, mate. It
I'm living in the 80s. 80s. Well, I have to push, I have to struggle. Oh, 80s. Get out my way, I'm not for sale no more. 80s. Let's kamikaze till we get there. And we say, you do it this way. I'm 80, but day we rock, but nights we dance, we know. 80, I'm in love with the coming rain. Oh, 80, I've got the faith, I'll take all I can get. 80s, I'm living for the 80s.
And the interesting thing now, so, that was like a real protest song, and you'd all be on the dance floor going, 80s, and it was just pretty full on. But when you think about it now, that was like 40 years ago. So that would have been, 80s would have been, I think it was released mid-80s, around that 84, 85 sort of scenario. And the interesting thing, all those people that rebelled against, were rebelling against the 80s, and now all the ones probably scratching their heads and wondering what's going on now. So every decade we seem to just be progressively getting worse, and yet we, in many, many ways, we didn't think that the world would get much worse than that. So, all right, so that's my little piece. Let's talk about Matt Bailey and his music, mate. So, let's Matt Bailey, and your music's gone through a couple of different. We've talked about this quite often. You started the piece, and then you're continually moving through that. But tell me about the first time, your first memory, your earliest memory, when you realized that music was going to be something special in your life.
was probably, I just remember like being a kid, like 9, 10, so like late 90s, early 2000s, watching American Pie.
Okay.
And I know it sounds funny because of what it is, but I just remember watching American Pie 2 with my cousin, and I remember like those days, if you wanted to know a song, you had to wait to the credits, and I used to always wait at the end to see what songs were playing. And I remember there was this one song called In Too Deep by the band Sum 41, and I just remember waiting for the credits and just finding out that song. And I was like, I just fell in love with this pop punk sound. I'm like,
wow,
music is not just music to me. And, you know, I remember when The Offspring released Pre-Fly for a White Guy. That was massive to me. When Eminem released like the Slim Shady in the late 90s, like that was just something. There was just something in me that I fell in love with it, and I always wanted to play drums.
Yeah.
But then I was about 13, 14, and I waived class, and I went to the music room, and they were playing. You know, I think I've told this story before, and they were playing songs that I knew on guitar, and I was like, that's cool. I want to do that. And then seeing my first ever concert was Green Day, Simple Plan, March 12th, 2005. And I just remember seeing Billy Joe from Green Day on stage. And I'm like, I want to do that for a living. But I don't know how to do it.
Yeah. Jenna, the interesting thing when you were talking about American Pie there, I was thinking about Days in the Car when that first came out on actually American Pie by Don McLean.
Yeah.
and I'd be sitting as a kid listening to that in the car and just thinking, what a classic fucking song that was. And then you've been inspired by American Pie, the movie.
Yeah, and it was, you know, the movie was very, you know, your typical teenage movie, but it was also wasn't so much about, like, for me, about like the girls and the partying, and it was just the music and the vibes and like the beach setting and like the summer, and then obviously going to America in 2004.
Yeah,
that was like the height of pop punk as well.
Yeah,
like, you know, Green Day just released American Idiot. Blink were just released like a self-titled, and it was just going nuts.
Yeah,
you know, so.
Yeah, we sort of really saw a massive shift in the music world. You know, I remember '94 when Sharon and I moved back to Brisbane. I brought Sharon out of Townsville into Brisbane, and I remember listening to two songs. One was because I couldn't wait to get back to listen to like Triple J or Triple Z or. You know, because I went to Townsville in '88 and returned in '94, and all this cool independent music that I just didn't have as much access to because the radio and, of course, the internet wasn't really a thing. Well, it wasn't a thing. And so one was Hey Jealousy, and I've forgotten who sang that.
Jim Blossom's.
Yeah.
Tell me, do you think it'd be all right if I could just crash here tonight?
And one of those songs, and the other one was Mr. Jones by Counting Crows.
Yeah.
So it was just those two songs were sort of representative of me of getting. So every time I hear them, that takes me back to '94. But it was a real sort of shift because there's a as I left Brisbane, and you know, this is just about that American music. There was there's a band in America, and they sing a song called Taillights Fade, and so it was almost like a real changing of the guard, because Taillights Fade, I'm just going to look it up. Buffalo Tom, that's it. So Buffalo Tom was sort of like the band from America that I was really enjoying when I left Townsville, and then when I came back, it was Gin Blossoms and Counting Crows, and it was just a real shift. It was just a real shift. So So around the same time. So when did you realize that you believed that you had something and you wanted to make something out of music?
Well, I played guitar for about 6 years before even thinking about it as a career. Even though I'd always wanted to do it,
Yeah.
I didn't know how. No one taught me how. And, you know, I watched people in bands at high school and always go to gigs and stuff. And then, you know, when I was 20, I started writing songs.
Yeah.
And, you know, in 2011, I wrote a song called I'll Be There, which you know. And that song, to write a song like that so early on did me good.
So what year was that again? Sorry?
2011.
Yeah.
You know, and you start writing songs and you don't want people to hear them. And, you know, that's why sort of the EP that you've got is what it is, because people can say it's shit and I'll have no feelings towards it. Where I'll Be There, I think having I'll Be There gave me, I'm like, I've got something here. Like,
yeah.
I know a guy who got I'll Be There tattooed on his arm. I've had people sing that song back to me. And, you know, this is stuff that happens when you, quote unquote, make it. And here I am, people are already singing my songs back. So I know I've got something here.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to make a career out of this.
So the belief has really come from that, you know, I'll be there, and then the continual journey. Because you went through a bit of a stage, didn't you, where you just sort of took the piss out of some of the lyrics that you wrote, you know?
Yeah, like I was just... And that was sort of me trying to find where I wanted to... Who did I want to be as a musician? You know?
Yeah.
Do I want to be someone that has the word fuck in my songs? Or is it, you know... And you can't write songs to please a certain audience. You have to put out what you want, and they'll come to you like a magnet.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I took the piss out of a lot of things. And I guess that was maybe me masking what I actually really wanted to say. And, you know, I'll Be There has always been with me, and every other song's drifted off, but I'll Be There's stayed there. And I'm like, the song that I'll Be There is, I don't know what category you put it in. There's no swearing. It's a catchy song. It's about falling in love. Yeah, it stayed with me, and that's been, I guess, the catalyst of everything else that's come into it.
And I guess it's part of that maturing as an artist, because I mean, even Pink nowadays, when she sings Perfect, she doesn't drop the F-bomb in that anymore, because of the fact that she, you know, since she's had children and she's got a daughter, the last thing she wants to be doing is not being the role model for them. So all of a sudden that's changed. So she matured to such a stage where, you know, and there's so many people that stick true to that original version of Perfect, you know, with the old, you're fucking perfect. And as she realized that she wanted to change because of the fact that she had matured individually, and I suppose that's very much in line with what you're talking through. I mean, at the end of the day, I enjoy your first, but also I understand the journey that you're on. So that's pretty cool. So what sort of instrument do you play? Like every instrument, or is there just?
I play guitar and obviously sing. That's about it. Like I can play a bit of. I've got enough knowledge where I sort of know. Like the last few times in the studio, had a guy called Frank in who plays piano.
Yeah,
absolutely amazing. But I'll go up to it first and be like, this is sort of what I want. And, you know, so I can do the basic, and then, you know, he would do it. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Just the guitar.
Just the guitar.
Yeah. But like I said, I can play a bit of keys, but that's something I'm working on, and maybe eventually I have said to Frank, I said, Frank, when there's an easy part, I do want to record. I actually want to play on this record, so I can be like, that was me that played that little, that little bit. And obviously, Mark does, the producer, he does a bit of the guitar work as well. Especially being in different states, he can do stuff like with Crewlife, like that solo on there. That's all Mark. And it used to be, I don't know if the comment's still there, or someone made a comment like, "Who's playing the solo?" Like it's such an ego thing. And like I'm happy to say I'm happy to say I didn't play the solo, because not every, you as an artist you don't play everything on there.
Yeah. So guitar solos are such. I've got to love guitar solos because it just reminds me of that typical male phallic symbol that the guitar becomes, So
I know you've only got really one song to reference, and I said to Mark, I'm not the biggest fan of the traditional guitar solos that shred.
Yeah.
I like a little catchy riff that's taken from like a vocal melody in the song.
Yeah.
Like as you've heard in the Crewlife remix, how that starts out is the vocal melody for the chorus.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really interesting. There's a couple of, whenever you go onto YouTube and you do a, top 10 guitar riffs or lead guitarist, there's leads, best guitar, lead solos. There's a couple of guys that just play them. Some will do it just for... so this is... And for anyone that was ever a Kiss fan would know that that's the beginning of one of Ace Frehley's. So, for... just going on, being able to go onto YouTube and just doing a quick search for best guitar lead solos, and then having individuals who love their music just making it happen, I think it's a good thing. So when you think back to your progression as a musician, Matt, did you do any formal training, or was it stuff that you just did you work through yourself?
I just taught myself, like especially with the guitar. Like I bought a book that was American Idiot back to front.
Okay.
It was just every song
like the Dummy's Guide to American Idiot.
It was the music book for Green Day's American Idiot album.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, so and so learning those songs, I learned all the chords and everything through that, and then. I end up getting vocal lessons, and that's something I still want to do because I don't sing every day, and I should, because you don't sing for a month and then you try and sing, you're out of breath. So that's something I want to incorporate. Same way I pick up the guitar and play every day, I want to sing every day. But just self-taught and learn along the way.
Yeah. Who are your influences? So if you were to nominate who all of your influences were, or at least the early influences, so obviously the guys out of American Pie, the music out of that.
Yeah, like Sum 41, New Fame Glory, Blink-182, Green Day. Green Day, Green Day taught me to play guitar. They're the reason I picked up a guitar, and And then I guess I mentioned this on our last podcast, probably the last 4 years, from a business side of thing, Ed Sheeran. He's influenced me huge. Not so much the music, more so the business side of the music and the way, the way he goes about things. When I watch an interview with him, I'm very, selective of what I take out of it.
he's certainly been able to build a very sustainable brand and a brand of being that down to earth sort of a guy that
and you know him being a dad now, and this goes like sort of back to the maturity. Like, you know, I'm 31, and you know, it depends on when you quote unquote make it as well. Like if you're a 21-year-old on a record label touring the world, it'd be a lot different to being a 31-year-old.
Yeah.
You know, like when I'm signed and when all that happens, you know, I'm not going to be sleeping on couches or on the floor. I want comfort.
Yeah.
And, you know, and do I want to be touring all the time? I don't know.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, you see those stories on things like The Voice, don't you, where someone's been itching for music all their life, and then, you know, they might be 45 or 52, and, you know, it's that emotional journey that they've been on. They finally get a chance to impress on the big stage. They might get through the first cut, but ultimately I think everyone sort of tends to realize, like, what I love about The Voice is those blind auditions, you know, where people can't see you for who you are. But then what tends to happen, from my perspective anyway, is that ultimately the ones that aren't going to have an image or be able to create an image are slowly filtered away anyway. So it ends up being the person that can create something that ends up winning it, or has the most potential to create something, because not all of them have been successful. So just the final question, Matt, you know, what sort of goals are you looking at with your music career? So and I say that with the knowledge that a lot of people would look at your actual job at the moment as being an air hostess, and sort of believing that that's quite a glamorous life in so many ways. And the reality of that is vastly different to the perception, I might just throw in. But what is the goals for yourself and the aims of where you want to go with your music?
To be able to do it full time, to be able to quit my daytime job and do that full time. And then I think from there, like, having the time to then do other things.
Yeah.
That I don't want to, that I can do, because, you know, someone asked me the other day, what's after the EP? And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll wait until it sees out, because then from that EP, then I can branch out and do other things and other things like that. Obviously, I want to do more music videos, more lyric videos, and, you know, I want to get so big that then I could surprise people in the streets and do like a busking gig. I've always loved when artists do that.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
Excellent, my friend. Excellent. So let's and you know, it's even humbling to think that even when you reach the pinnacle of where it is that you want to get to, that you're still thinking about just being down to earth and just being Matt Bailey and just surprising others. So I think that once again says a fair bit about yourself. So let's
and like I said, I'm 31, so like if I made it at 21, it'd be like a very different
thing.
Yeah, where, you know, at 31, you know, thinking about the future and all that stuff.
Absolutely. And what better way than just to meld into Crewlife?
July 30th, the remixes will be out.
And the remix, and so many people would be saying why.
Waking up and it's freezing. What time do we leave? What time do we land? I've got a meeting. Cabin crew, please arm your doors and cross-check. Hey, Captain, can I come into the flight deck? Where's your wedding ring? Just left the club on the way to work and I'm still drunk. Forgot my clothes, forgot my shoes, 'cause I'm so young. All about that hashtag crew life. shit don't stink. I'm on Instagram and I'm famous. But I get more views on YouTube.
Somebody's favourite line out there.
Take me home to get me back, and I'll stay up all night. Got this now, one more flight. I've got a plane to catch. Take me home to get me back, and I'll stay up all night. Got this now, one more line.
And,
So we might just keep that playing just as we start to close down through. We've been going for 40 minutes today, Matt. So
one goal I didn't mention
yeah,
is, I can't believe it slipped my mind. I don't care what song, I want it in a movie.
in a movie.
Same way that the songs that were in American Pie influenced me, I'd love for one of my songs to be like, you know, the way like I don't want to miss a thing by Aerosmith is that Armageddon soundtrack.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I'd love for a song to go into like a classic movie that just
Yeah.
is never ending. Like
and
American Pie.
yeah, and that's absolutely relevant based on the fact that that's where you got your love for music from. So
Yeah.
it would be pretty cool to have your song in a movie. So maybe you need to forge some links there with some of the Hollywood producers and say, you know, next time you're doing a that chick out of the that lady, that girl. I keep saying chick. It's not a disrespectful. I think chicks are pretty cool. So, but the girl out of the Big Bang Theory she did a Amazon miniseries about being a flight attendant.
Oh yeah.
So you need to get your song in front of some of those people. What's on the agenda for you over the next week, my friend?
Next week, even though I was supposed to be in the studio this weekend, as you know, Mark's still going to do some work and he's going to ring me and we'll go through some stuff. So it'll be like I'm there, but I'm not there. So that's sort of exciting. And then next week, I'm just, the remix is coming out. So I'm going to get some balloons and have like a little mini party at home and try and get a Zoom thing happening. And, yeah.
Well, I'll be there. So next Thursday, we hope to fly out to Uluru and run the Outback Marathon. I mean, I feel so sorry for event organisers. You know, they've been in Alice Springs doing their 2 weeks of quarantine, and while they've been in there, first up Sydney goes into lockdown, then Melbourne goes into lockdown, then South Australia goes into lockdown, and of course with that comes all the pain of all those people that would have booked to go and run the Outback Marathon. And then, of course, now Queensland shut the borders to New South Wales. So all of those country people in New South Wales that were aiming to fly through from Queensland now can't get there. So there might only be me and Sharon running the marathon. So, but with a bit of luck, keep our fingers crossed that it all goes ahead. I can't wait to get out to Uluru and have a bit of a bo peep at it. So, Matt Bailey, once again, what a great conversation. Thanks for sharing with the audience. I hope that everyone took something away about what it's all about to be a muso. It's not all beer and Skittles. And I'm trying to keep this going. So I might just say goodbye now and we'll listen out we'll fade out to Crewlife. Awesome. See you all. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you and enjoy your flight.
Thank God that's over. If you didn't like it, leave a review to warn others, or share it with people you want to annoy. If you did like it, I'm sorry, you cannot be helped, so you may as well leave a good review. I guess the boys will appreciate it. As Curly would say, don't be an asshole. Hopefully, I won't see you next time. Goodbye.